Do not attempt to adjust your television set. There is nothing wrong. We have taken control as to bring you this special part 2. We will return it to you as soon as you are grooved. In the early 70s, the funk changed direction and went psychedelic. Picking up where James Brown left off was Mr. George Clinton, also known as Dr. Funkenstein, the extraterrestrial brother.
Make mine the P-Funk. I want my funk uncut. Yeah, make my funk the P-Funk. I want to get funked up. I want the P-Funk. Yeah. Make mine the P.
P-Funk music is a music that hits on the 1 and the 3.
Funk is not nice. Funk is not well-mannered and well-behaved. Funk is in your face, sexual.
Going to one of their shows was like a huge party.
Entertainment was about entertaining, and it was about breaking the line between being a passive audience member and being an active participant in an experience.
Well, George Clinton is one of the most important musicians of the late 20th century. I mean, when it comes to rhythm, which is the underlying power of both African American music and American music, we're talking about one of the greatest innovators in rhythm of the time. He's right behind James Brown, quite honestly, as an innovator in the polyrhythmic music, the deep, dark richness of the funk. You know, on the one, which James Brown first created and then was taken to the next level by the P-Funk organization. So you got rhythm with George.
You know, it's James Brown, and then there's P-Funk. And it really doesn't get much funkier than that.
There was this period of time when, you know, everybody in hip-hop was sampling James Brown. And then it shifted to this moment when everybody in hip-hop was sampling George Clinton.
One nation under a groove.
For the party, to get naughty, get my rocks on, eat popcorn, watch you move your body to the pop song that I'm singing, ding-a-linging, funky beats ringing, everybody swinging in the place as I kick the J's, easy Y style, R&B, mixing it with the hip-hop swing beat, champagne in my hand, it won't be long till I'm gone, it's just the same old song.
George believed A, he should be his own opening act, and B, that he was from outer space. I've met George. I believe he should always be his opening act, and I believe someone of his incredible creative power must have come from outer space.
I don't even know what he's going for. He's going for like the intergalactic pimp thing, you know. It's so 70s, yet so futuristic at the same time.
You're talking about dudes on the stage in diapers and wedding dresses and, you know, it was off the chain.
They were punk even before punk, you know, when you really think about it. They were, and still are, you know, the illest motherfuckers on the block.
Visually, you know, not only the stage performance, of course, they were on Casablanca Records. They had the same set design as Kiss, and Kiss was known for, you know, these elaborate set designs during that time. But here you had, you know, a black twist on it, a funk twist on it.
So the idea was, if you're from outer space, there's only one way to tell the audience that, and that is to build you a spaceship and have you land on stage. So George Clinton would come out as George Clinton and be his own opening act, and suddenly there was this gigantic mothership, recently donated to the Smithsonian, that landed on stage, and out came the Funkadelics, and people believed it.
When we talk about the mothership landing, we're also talking about George's, use of, coded language, so to speak. So the motherland is how black people always talked about Africa. So the mothership is these aren't just aliens from another planet. They're maybe the original Africans who flew down, and George has made a reconnection between the people who created the pyramids, people who colonized Africa originally, space aliens, and then the funk. So he drew a direct line from Mars, Egypt, Africa, and your backyard. So that, you know, it just really brilliant conceptualizing of blackness without saying blackness.
My brother took me to see them at the Apollo Theater, and Knee Deep's the big song, and there was a remix of Knee Deep, like the real long 30, like back in the disco days where they made 25-minute versions of records. Felipe Wynn from the Spinners was on the remix, right? And sure enough, Felipe Wynn comes out with the Spinners outfit on. So he's got a maroon suit with white shoes. And he's doing his shit, right? And so the lead singer from the Spinners is on stage with, you know, the P-Funk All-Stars, Parliament Funkadelic. Anyway, close the house. Thank you, good night. Next day, Felipe Wynn's dead. He funked himself to death.
The music that they did can't be disconnected from the drugs that they did.
The thing about George Clinton is here you had this like black musical group connected with acid, and you don't normally associate acid with black culture.
They came out of a period of great experimentation, and it had its human cost. I mean, a lot of their guys got addicted. There was a lot of different, it wasn't all joy. There was a lot of pain that came with that creation.
What you had with George Clinton was a movement that was musical, that was visual. There were concepts, you know, it was about more than just making the next hit record. It was about creating a vibe, representing a certain energy, a certain approach. And I think when you look at that across the board, they were really pioneering in this regard, in that they were characters as well as they were musicians. And in some cases, people might assume being characters might lessen the substance of the music, but that was not the case at all.
When we talk about black rock and roll, we're talking about the root of it is still P-Funk in many ways, even as much as Hendrix, because they were able to do rock and roll, heavy guitar music with rhythm in a way that Hendrix didn't do except for Band of Gypsies. You know, you could almost say the Band of Gypsies then becomes P-Funk in a way.
Now, I don't know if George knew just how impactful he was going to be on the music of culture for the next 3 decades, but his music is not only the foundation of pretty much everything that anybody else is trying to do today, but really was the inspiration, I think.
What a part of it. Right. Yeah. Right. One more time. Yeah! Long live the bass!
What an influence on me, man.
Really, yeah.
I mean, it's funny because we were just joking about earlier how we're going to sit around and be corny and go, what an influence he is! And this whole concept of the shoot. But that's like, what he just did right there is like, you know, I mean, I didn't even realize it. I realized it so much more, like right at this very second, how much I like copy that shit all the time. You know, I mean, it's like that whole feel of bass playing. You know, there's no one. Richie's the only one that ever did it. You know, he's the only one that ever will. Around the mountain, Wichita. George is just like the baddest motherfucker, man. He's just, like his whole concept of music, for one thing, he's like totally into the cartoon thing, you know, and it comes out, and it's like the way that he combined hard rock music with funk. Like, I mean, that thing we were just listening to, Coming Around the Mountains, you know, Coming Around the Mountain, like the groove on that is just like, it's like what Aerosmith, like, wished they could do, like, maybe one day, you know? Like,
really? You think so?
Definitely. I think so, 1,000,000%. That... I mean, that sounds like, to me, like, you know, like... It sounds like it's like a hard rock funk groove, man, and I just feel very akin to it as well, because it's like they're not paying attention to anything except themselves. They're not paying attention to anything except, you know, their funk. They're not. I mean, it's obvious that shit didn't get radio play. Give me a break. No one played that on the radio. That's the deepest stuff, and I think that's why it's the same kind of thing we fall into, you know, because we play shit that's too funked out to get on white radio and too rocked out to get on black radio, and that's the same thing with that.
When you can impact your time and your generation and then turn around and impact future generations and impact this new form of music as well as you impacted the form of music you were responsible for innovating previously, how many people can we point to that have done that?
With however people see him and whatever his flaws and faults and gifts are, there's that human being there that is somebody's father, is somebody's grandfather, is somebody's husband, child, brother, cousin, for people to know.
I love you, George. Haven't seen you in a minute, but you're on my better see before he dies list. So I will be the next time, every time I see you from now on, I'm going to give you that extra hug. It's like, man, how come Rock was giving me that extra hug? Because you never know. You're one of the last funky men standing, actually. James is dead. You know, Rick James is dead. Barry White's dead. Michael Jackson's dead. It's pretty much George and Prince. The last guys, the last funky men standing.
But one of the wonderful things about this brother, unadulterated genius that he is that his music is fresh all the time. Because when you have a classic, it's timeless, which means it's relevant for every time.
Right.
And even the younger generation, when they use the samples from this brother's music, we talked about James Brown and Sly Stone, Bootsy Collins and others, they got to go back to this genius because all of that courage, that freedom, and that love, and that funk is intertwined.
Is that true?
Is that right, though, brother?
I mean, that's the way he put it.
Yeah.